Hi everyone, my name is Nicollette Gooding. I am a Master's of Social Work student at the University of Toronto, currently completing my practicum with For a Safer Space. Today I will be sharing information about understanding what post-traumatic stress disorder is, specifically within the violence against women sector, including how PTSD can affect our own lives as well as those around us.
Post-traumatic stress disorder is a mental condition that may occur after a person experiences or witnesses a traumatic event. Canada views PTSD as the specific definition and also includes any events with war, crime, major accidents, interpersonal violence, and disasters. Although today I will be focusing on PTSD within the violence against women sector, I'm also going to note that it's important to remember that PTSD has specific psychological symptoms that can affect people of any age, culture, or gender. So I also will be sharing other information around general information around folks who do have PTSD. Folks with PTSD may experience major distress or find it hard to cope with everyday work, school, regular life, and even social and family situations. PTSD in the violence against women sector. So my focus today will be on violence experience in the violence against women sector and how these experiences places women at a risk for negative health consequences, including increased mental health conditions like PTSD. It must be acknowledged that women's experiences of violence has been linked to increased medical, psychological, and social morbidity, and therefore understanding this very complex social issue is critical for supporting those specific women around us who have experienced this form of violence. The diagnosis of PTSD and its symptoms are most consistent with the collection of symptoms often found in women who have, as I mentioned before, experienced forms of violence and sometimes also including abuse. When doing research, a meta-analysis paper confirmed that PTSD is one of the most prevalent disorders in women who have experienced violence and abuse, and therefore, the presence of significant PTSD symptoms themselves can be potentially devastating for survivors of violence. For example, a woman's inability to maintain employment or even maintain everyday life and social interactions may contribute to her decision to return to an unsafe environment because of her dependence on her abuser. Canada is committed to addressing PTSD as the Federal Framework on Post-Traumatic Stress Disorder Act in June 2018. The Act recognizes that all Canadians can be at risk for PTSD and that a great number face higher risk because of the nature of their work. This act led to the National Conference on PTSD in April of 2019. Experts from across the country, including people with lived experiences, shared their knowledge and views. With their involvement, there has been a development of Canada's first federal framework of post-traumatic stress disorder. The federal framework on post-traumatic stress disorder is important in terms of recognition, collaboration, and support connects and builds on existing federal efforts. It focuses on occupation-related PTSD, but also acknowledges other populations affected by PTSD, including Black and Indigenous populations, which is providing culturally aware supports. The framework was developed to help improve tracking of PTSD in its economic and social costs, promote and share guidelines and best practices for diagnoses, treatment, and management of PTSD, and create and distribute educational materials around PTSD. The framework is going to be used to strengthen knowledge creation and exchange and also collaboration around the federal government and with partners and stakeholders, inform practical evidence-based public health actions, programs, and policies, and work towards reducing stigma and improve the recognition of the symptoms and the significant and severe impacts of PTSD on survivors of violence. A review of the effectiveness of the framework will be prepared within 5 years of its publication, and the review will include a progress update and highlight new initiatives and their results. So how is this helpful to women in the violence against women sector? So PTSD appears to be twice as common in women as in men, and structures of inequality and the origin of gender-based violence and its focus on power imbalances is really important to understand in terms of the very trauma responses that women will also exhibit in different environments. Women are more likely to report symptoms of numbing and avoidance, as well as concurrent mood or anxiety disorders, in addition to their PTSD. This research and acknowledgement is significant in providing service to women identifying clients, as often their assessments will require different criteria to detect PTSD altogether. Frequently, women who spoke about their own substance use described it as one of the primary ways they could forget or numb themselves from re-experiencing their trauma. Women frequently reported insomnia alongside other common symptoms of PTSD, and intoxication served as one of the many ways in which women coped. Various women described their mental health journey and experiences of abuse to be interwoven with substance abuse, and in few cases, their partner's substance was recalled as preceding violence, and subsequently both use and the violence intensified. PTSD supports for women and folks who have experienced violence. For support, you are able to visit Canada.ca and search the mental health support page for help and more information to understand that you are not alone and there are supports out there that recognize that PTSD is a significant mental health condition that requires support. Thank you for taking the time for watching this video. I hope it was helpful providing information about women and PTSD within the violence against women sector, as well as what Canada is doing to support that, as well as even folks generally with PTSD. Take care.